Good morning, everybody. I'm Bertil Huit. I'm the Managing Director for Techstars Paris, and I'm very happy to be on stage this morning with Hila Cohen and Alex. I'm just going to introduce you briefly, and then we will run a video and go for half an hour of conversation. And in the last part of this conversation, if you have questions, we will be happy to answer those. So. Alex, you were previously the director for the Clinton Foundation. You were in charge of programs. You joined the MIT a couple of years ago, I think, and you now run Solve. Solve is a platform for social entrepreneurs, and we will see that in the video. Hila, you work for the World Food Program, and you run the Innovation Accelerator program. You're based in Munich. So can we run the video now, and we'll jump into the conversation just after that.
So for me, Solve is an opportunity to innovate, not in isolation, but innovate as a team of teams with other people that are doing amazing things that without Solve, I would not have been connected to or known about.
It's been amazing interacting both with the Solve organizers, but as well as the solvers. I'm very excited for the next couple of months as we get to know much better other solvers as well as the community in general.
We work with you as an applicant to finesse your idea, to get better at pitching it, to work through some of its potential weaknesses, and to potentially find some other team members on areas where you need to strengthen your work.
I think there's a level of trust with MIT, and I think there's a level of trust that the rigor of judging will be very high and very honest. And the relationship with the members is they have now a curated set of submissions that they can take seriously.
The curating function of Solve is of greatest benefit to people looking to fund and invest in initiatives to improve the developing world. Solve can provide a validating forum for ideas and technology, which essentially is almost a stamp of approval so that it's doing a part of the due diligence. And so I think it will actually help funders move more quickly and more effectively.
If you have a great idea, be it a concept, a prototype, or a pilot, and you want to get it done, you need the right partners. You need people who are going to finance you need people who are going to mentor you need people who are going to provide you a market or a network so that you can really get that done. This is what Solve offers.
There are many people out there that want to make a contribution, that want their lives to work towards something that is really important, that has a common meaning. If you want to contribute to one of those challenges, just join the force, join the effort.
Thank you, Alex, for showing this video to us. So can you explain a little bit more what is Solve? How does it work? Who are the social entrepreneurs that apply to it?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all well. So Solve is an initiative of MIT, and we start off by defining specific challenges. And some of you came to the challenge design workshop that I hosted yesterday, and that's the starting point for this. We crowdsource the challenges by speaking with hundreds and thousands of people around the world, and then once we launch a specific challenge, then it's completely open. Anybody can apply on our platform, and you can be a non-profit, a for-profit, you can be in Palestine, in Myanmar, at MIT, wherever. You can be 13, like one of our solvers, you can be 84. You can participate in sort of this idea of collective problem solving. In the last cycle, we had about 1,000 solutions from 100 countries. And then our judges, some of which you saw in the video, whittle it down to the best ideas. In this last cycle, we selected 38 solvers, and that's the social entrepreneurs we support. What is a solver? They're somebody whose solution has been vetted and is answering the challenge that we're looking for, and we search for class and we search for diversity. So in, say, the Women in Technology Challenge we just had, which is how can women of all socioeconomic backgrounds use technology to fully participate in the economy. We have coding boot camps in Afghanistan that somebody called Roya is working on. And we have 5 cents fully recyclable, fully compostable sanitary pads for rural women in India that somebody called Amrita is working on. So those are quite different levels of technology, quite different, obviously, geographies, but the idea is that there's the diversity of solutions to answer one big challenge. Really what we do, and we can talk more about it, is that we connect these solvers to a network of our members, to corporations, foundations, impact investors, government, obviously academia, that can provide resources to really accelerate their work.
Ila, you also run a different kind of platform because it's actually an acceleration program. So can you tell us more about the Innovation Acceleration Program for the World Food Program?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So I'm part of the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator. We're based in Munich, but we support innovations for the 80 countries where WFP operates around the world. Just 2 words about WFP. WFP is one of the biggest humanitarian actors in the world. We feed around 80 million people per year, and I don't know if you've heard, but there's the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We focus very heavily on zero hunger. That is SDG 2, but also SDG 17, which is partnerships. And that is one of the ways that we see also partnerships is to collaborate with startups. And as an accelerator, what we're doing is we want to be like the Y Combinator of the humanitarian accelerators. So we want to bring startups that may have a solution, that maybe you have a great idea that works in Berlin or in New Delhi or in Lagos, and you wanted to make it relevant for the humanitarian operations from WFP. We want to be your bridge to our work around the world. So the way we work, we have a full accelerator program. We run innovation challenges, and we have a very straightforward application on our website, innovation.wfp.org. So if you have any food tech, ag tech, supply chain idea, etc., we're quite open. You can apply directly on our website. We ran this year Innovation Challenge, Global Innovation Challenge with Singularity University from Silicon Valley, focusing on food and emergencies. And we got hundreds of applications, and we actually brought 13 startups from around the world to our accelerator in Munich, and it was a quite exciting week. In our boot camps, we give you 2 things, and I think this is what it's interesting, is we give you on one side, we give you mentorship from our team, but also expertise from the private sector. So if you're looking into, you need some marketing insight, we'll bring someone from the private sector. Even though we're a UN agency, we'll bring someone expertise from the private sector to help you. But our real value add is to give you insight on how a UN agency works, what are our specific challenges. So if you have, let's say, a startup working on nutrition and you want your solution to be relevant for somewhere in Africa, we will bring you someone with that experience so they can give you your know-how. After the boot camp, the best startups can get funding from us for $50,000 to $100,000 to pilot your idea in a developing country context. So our role is also to do the matching. So we find a startup that solves one of our problems, we will connect you to one of our offices around the world, and part of the funding will be for you to go and test it on the ground in that field capacity. And during your sprint program with us, we also continue to help you, give you mentoring, and help you think of your business model as you go forward.
In order to participate to the Innovation Accelerator, you have to go to Munich.
Well, so the first thing is just apply on our website.
Okay.
And we're interested in startups that are less in the abstract level. We're interested in startups that can show a bit of traction, can show us a bit of results. Even though if it's not, you have an idea that you think it would be relevant for Africa, but you've tested it in Berlin. We want to see your results from Berlin, and we want to see that there's a solid team. We want to understand what's your business model, and based on that, if you're strong and we think you fit, let's say, our current needs, you would come to our boot camp, one week boot camp in Munich. Yes.
How is the process to apply to Solve? What is the timeline? It was created a couple of years ago, and it repeats every year. And what's the timeline for Solve?
We set 4 challenges every year, one in the learning, health, economic prosperity, and sustainability space. At the moment, we're designing them. That's the challenge design process that some of you participated yesterday. Once we've spoken to a whole bunch of people around the world, we'll launch them March 1st on solve.mit.edu. Similarly to Hila, anybody can apply. The platform's completely open. You can see other people's solutions, you can vote, you can comment, you can join the team. The idea is to sort of get to collective problem solving. And you can apply at different stages in a research/prototyping phase, piloting, or growth phase. If you are in the research prototyping phase, there's still a high feasibility criteria. So probably you have a track record, or you've done something in another country and you're trying to bring it into another geography or something like that. But really, it's very open, and the idea is that anybody can apply and participate. There's then, everything is on our website, by the way, but yes, then there's a series of judging criteria and a whole bunch of expert judges that shortlist the best solutions. We invite you to our Solve Challenge finals, which last year were this year we're in New York in September. It's a nice version of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den. We had 68 finalists, and they pitched live, and then 38 of them made it through from the live pitching into our program, basically. It's not a physical accelerator, apart from there's two sort of physical requirements coming to the finals and pitching, although you can submit by video if you really can't come, and then coming to Solve at MIT, which is every May. So our next Solve at MIT is May 16th to 18th, and that's for the current class of solvers and for these investors and foundations and corporations. And that's sort of demo day or the capstone day for us, where really the community comes together to meet solvers that they've hopefully been working with throughout the year and really sort of announce, celebrate, and also finalize partnerships, which is what we're about.
Okay, so March to September every year. So
the March to July is the application process, and then if you're selected as a finalist, you come in September to New York City. Ta-da.
Okay, great. So what about your program? What is the timeline? Or does it run every year?
So for us, it's a rolling application. So if you have an idea, you think it's the right maturity level to apply, you can just come to our website and apply. And we did this year one external challenge with Singularity University. Next year, we haven't decided yet if there's going to be set challenges. We haven't planned that yet. It's just a rolling basis. So whenever you feel it's the right time, you can apply.
Okay. So what kind of technology are you using, or your solvers are using? I know, you were talking, Ila, yesterday about blockchain in solving crisis. What kind of technologies solvers are using in 2017?
Definitely have a few blockchain solutions, and we actually have, I don't know if Consensus is in the room, but we have a partnership with Consensus around sort of some of the winners who use blockchain technology then get taken into Consensus Accelerator, which is an Ethereum-based blockchain company headquartered in New York City. So then sort of that's how we become a marketplace or trading platform. We partner with other people. So that's definitely one thing, but it really varies. There are people who are using apps, who are using AI, who are using drones, who are using, as I mentioned, sanitary pads as a much lower tech. So it doesn't have to require a computer. What's important to us is, are you solving the challenge, and does the technology have potential to scale to ultimately millions of people? It also doesn't need to be new tech. There are some people, and that's more at that research prototype phase, which are actually using novel technology. But it might be that the tech exists and is working great. These coding boot camps in Afghanistan, there's nothing in terms of the tech that is new, but and it works great when you're talking about General Assembly in New York and Boston and everything. But how do you translate that? How do you adapt it, deploy it, distribute it, make it affordable to women in Afghanistan? That's the challenge, and that's what we're interested in supporting and seeing.
What are the projects that came as a great surprise in 2017 to your acceleration program?
So We also, in terms of topics, we're quite open. Let's say for us, of course, because of who we are, we're interested in things relating to improving food supply chains, logistics, food tech, agri-tech, helping smallholder farmers around the world because they are part of the most vulnerable population on the planet. Let's say one interesting example is what we've done with hydroponics. So hydroponics is when you grow food without soil, or it's also called vertical farming. My colleagues did a project with this in the Sahara Desert with refugees who have been there for the past 40 years. In the first phase, what the team did was to bring this big old shipping container that was repurposed, had LED lighting, solar panels, and they started growing barley for animal use, not actually for human consumption, because the local population said it's important for us that our livestock is well sustained. So it's also interesting for us to see that we assume people want to grow food but for themselves, but you realize when you talk to the user, and I think that's a very important element, that you understand your user and have access to your user and solve their problems and not what you're assuming. They gave us the feedback that they want to grow animal fodder. And after that, this container grew food within a week, and that was a great result for the refugees. And then one of the local teams that we work with, who is from the Oxfam NGO, developed a low-tech version of the big tech solution that we brought. So we actually, as you mentioned, you sometimes also go the other way around. So you do split testing and you actually downscale. And he created a solution that with items that he bought locally at 10% of the price of the big tech solution that we brought. So that's a very interesting model that you can learn that you can adapt and find, let's say, bring technology and adapt it to the local circumstances. The second part of this story is that my colleagues then recently have gone to Chad to talk to vulnerable populations there to see how hydroponics can help them. The local community said, how are you growing food in the desert? And so they actually showed them pictures and showed them that the pictures from Algeria, that this is feasible, and they actually worked with the local community to see what type of hydroponics they want to do for them. And so for me, let's say, and for us in general as, let's say, the DNA of the way we work is, you need to think about human-centered design and understand the needs of your user, even when you're working on humanitarian or developing country solutions. And we want to try to bridge and give you access to the users in that sense. But I think it's something sometimes people forget, that all these cool methodologies are also relevant for places beyond Europe and the US. The second element is just also work a bit in the lean startup methodology. Start small, understand your core, and then develop it, and then you'll build slowly as you understand. Because maybe the first idea you had didn't work and you need to pivot a little, but that's okay because you started small.
That's startup life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, actually, what you say is very interesting, and it sparked a question to me. What is, so if I have a good idea, I present to Solve, or I present to your program, what part of open source do you require from your applications, or is there any way you can actually share, or do you incentive your applicants to open source? And because you crowdsource on one end, but do you open source on the other hand?
Yeah. So if you go to our platform, you can see every solution that's ever been submitted on our platform. You see the finalists first, and then you click Show All Solutions, and then you see all of them. So you can see all the solutions that were submitted. You can comment, you can vote. As I mentioned, there's an option to join the team. I'm sure there's a few phone calls before that happens. But so the idea is that it is sort of completely open. That you too can also participate in designing the challenges to a greater or lesser extent. That you can also host what we call solvathons. So during the open application period, so from March to July, we host solvathons around the world to try and sort of help prototype the solutions. We can't do all of them themselves. So we had some in Palestine, we had some in Israel, we had some in Myanmar, Indonesia, Ecuador. These were all hosted by partners and people who took our toolkits. So if you want toolkits, come and see me. Or you can register on the website. But so the idea is that it's collective and open, and that people are owning Solve other than ourselves. And then we're instituting now, and this is learning from the fact that everybody submitted their solution at the last minute last time. We are submitting a sort of 2-draft period for the next round. So it will probably be July 1st is the deadline. You have to submit everything. And then between July 1st and July 20th, the crowd, if you will, can comment and vote and help refine the solutions. And then you've got the opportunity to resubmit on July 20th, having learned something from the crowd, hopefully. We're testing, just like a startup or a lean startup, we're testing things out and refining as we go. So that was a learning from last time, is everyone submits last minute. It's kind of obvious, but...
Yeah, well, doers tend to procrastinate sometimes. So what about your program? Is open source anywhere in the scope
So
of your solutions?
not all our solutions are technological.
Okay.
And for example, with our blockchain solution that I talked in the previous panel, right now it's not open, because also we have very sensitive refugee information on it. So, and we're just in the first phases, so we might consider it, but let's say we haven't made a decision about that. But in other cases, as also our website has, you can really get a feel of the things we're interested in. So a lot of the projects have their stories there and what's the focus on. But again, I think I'm going to talk more about sharing of information to a certain extent. So also with us, it's not that everything that WFP does is we do it on our own. So for example, if there's an idea that comes from one of our staff members, because we operate around the world and they are really in the field knowing the challenges of, what is a challenge right now in Colombia, or what is a challenge for a smallholder farmer in Uganda, our staff know it because they deal with them on a daily basis. So what we try to do is also match between the two. So we will purchase the services of a startup that we think could be relevant for our organization and work together. So there's all kinds of modalities of collaborations. Of course, there's, I think, information sharing across the board. We are also in some MIT, we're involved in some MIT initiatives, but also with other UN agencies. And also for us, I can tell you, in the Munich tech ecosystem, I think for us it's very interesting to be involved not only in the humanitarian scope, but really understand what's going out there so we can be relevant. Because if we won't, let's say, leverage the most recent technologies, we shouldn't be here. So we really want to be, really up to speed with everything that's going on around the world. Yeah.
Good. So hopefully, Techstars just launched an impact program, and hopefully there will be candidates from your batch. So we have just 5 minutes left. I was wondering, maybe some of you have questions. We can probably take one or two. I see someone raising a hand up there. By any chance? Okay, maybe you can shout loud your question. I will repeat it.
Somebody's bringing a mic.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marieke Ganissen, and amongst others, I work for the City of The Hague on an Impact Startup program. And there's around 160 NGOs and a lot of UN agencies in The Hague, and we try to match them with also tech startups. But what I noticed, and I was wondering how you deal with that, is that for those impact startups to scale, they often have to enter at one point in time the tender processes of UN agencies. And I was wondering, are you dealing with that? And a second question, sorry for treating, is what I also notice is that when people have invented something wonderful, there's often a not invented here problem. When field workers of aid agencies, I used to work for Doctors Without Borders myself for many years, so I know a bit how it works. And it's like, okay, yeah, great idea, but not invented here. How do you help larger NGOs and agencies to incorporate the innovations that you collect?
So 2 very good questions. I think it's a journey for UN agencies in general, how to work with startups. We were not built for that, historically. And so our processes, and I think I always compare us to like a Procter & Gamble or a BMW and any other big company that's trying to incorporate startup activities into its operations. So, and I think it's just that because it's my, let's say, very similar comparison. It's big organizations that have processes set up for some other operations. And you have to adapt it. So we are working on this. It's a work in progress, but it's something that let's say, I can tell you, I've been part of the Accelerator almost from day one, 2 years ago. And it's something that's always on our mind. So, and if we want to make it happen, we have to keep working on it. So I can tell you it's a big part of my agenda on the day-to-day basis. And then the second question, I really understand, that's why as our approach to innovation, and I think every, diverse actors have diverse models, that's why we try to do the matching. So we really try to set the expectations of the startup and say, we think your idea is great. First, we need to find if it's solving a problem for us, and then we need to find a country office in our global operations that will tell us that now they have the capacity, that they have the mindset, that they have the time to help you when you come for a few weeks to work on the ground in that location. So that's part of the matching process that we do, and sometimes it does take a bit of time. So patience is required, yeah.
Any other question? Anybody? We're okay? Well, thank you, Alex. Thank you, Hila. Thank you, Josephine, for the invitation. Thank you, Techfugees, for the initiative. Thank you.